You're listening to the Platte River Bard.
Hello, and welcome to the Platte River Bard. This is Chris Berger.
And I'm Sherry Berger.
And we are here with Kevin Lawler, the Artistic and Administrative Coordinator of the Great Plains Theater Commons. Welcome, Kevin, to the show. Thank you for talking with us today.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for taking the time. So you've got a big week ahead of you.
Yes, very big week.
So the conference opens on Sunday, May 29th and ends on Saturday, June 4th. So we definitely wanted to make sure that we got this out and started talking to you about everything that's going to happen. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how the New Play Conference came about?
Sure. The New Play Conference began at Metropolitan Community College, and Dr. Jody McDowell, who was the president of the college at that time in 2006, brought the idea of a play development conference happening from the past college that she worked at, where they also did one of these. And I think they still do. It was up in Alaska. They still do a new play conference. And so she brought the idea when she came down to be president of Metro, and started it up. And it's been going ever since. This is the 17th year of the conference.
Nice.
And the idea is to give some vital support to playwrights who have new works that have not had a full professional production before. So these plays are brand new plays. They really haven't seen the stage. And the idea is to get a lot of the top theater artists in the country in to put some energy and response into the plays and work with the playwrights and help them get to the next step with their new work.
It's really neat. That's really exciting. Yeah. And you guys have a ton of people coming in, playwrights and all kinds of folks.
And you had over 1,000 submissions of new plays to read through this last year to decide who's going to be performing this week?
Yeah, so every year it's a little bit different, but usually it's between 600 and 1,000 plays that we get sent in. And then we winnow our way through all of those scripts to come up with, this year it's 14.
14, okay.
14 total, yeah.
And you said you've been doing this, I'm sorry, how many years again? 11?
We started in 2006. I took over at the helm in 2009.
Okay.
But this is our 17th year for the conference itself.
So in that time, that 17 years, have you had any plays that have made it out into the rest of the country and the world, or how is?
Oh yeah, lots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because you're getting scripts that come from all over.
We're getting scripts that come from all over, and we're getting international scripts now too.
Oh, wow.
And we've had a lot of plays that have been done in local theaters with full productions too, and plays that have gone on to New York and London and all over the place, all over our country for sure. This week is really cool because one of the plays we developed in 2017 as a play lab at the conference,
Okay.
as a play lab feedback and response, is going to be fully produced here at the Creighton Lead Center on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of June. And it's a local playwright. Her name's Beaufield Berry. You might have heard of her.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Absolutely.
But it's her play In the Upper Room,
This
which
is
is
the
based
In the
on
Upper Room. Okay, yes.
In the Upper Room, yeah. It's based on her family, and it's like 3 generations of an African-American family in Omaha back in the 1970s. And it is a tremendous play. It got picked up by the Denver Center for the Arts, and there was a full production in March at Denver Center for the Arts. And I went out to see it. It was a great production.
Wow.
And now we're really excited to be doing a full production. So you can see this kind of trajectory. If you have somebody bring something in and develop it here, and then it goes to a wider audience throughout the country.
Exciting.
That's cool. In the upper room. Yes, I noticed Rashia's in that. I was looking to see the different people in there. Rashia's in that. I worked with her before. She's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah, Richet's great.
So you start on Sunday, and you also have workshops going.
Sunday doesn't have a play lab.
Oh, okay.
Usually we just start out with some kind of
workshop.
orientation things for people from out of town, and we do the workshops.
Sure.
And then we give everybody that day to really rehearse a lot with their local directors and actors and everybody. So it's kind of a getting acclimated day for everybody from out of town.
Yeah, I noticed that then the playwrights are, of course, going to have access to all kinds of resources in terms of, dramaturges. And I noticed you said you're bringing in some sort of production design type of people to work with the playwrights and them thinking about, how they want to stage and put it together and all that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts. Much like a
There's a lot of
production,
moving parts.
but bigger scale.
That sounds like a fantastic environment for everybody, but I mean, especially for the playwrights to be able to bring their play to all these folks and have all these incredibly talented people be able to start throwing ideas around and workshopping stuff.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And actually, every year, the playwrights just really love working with our local theater artists.
That's cool.
They come out and they don't know really what to expect and what they'll get from our Omaha community, but hands down, every year they just love working with our people. So
absolutely, there's Omaha's got a lot to offer.
Yeah,
that is for sure, and it's nice to hear that when they come in, they are pleasantly surprised. That's excellent. Of course they are.
So you've got people coming in from all over.
Yep.
And I noticed even one of them, is that the title of the play, Greater Illinois? Is that the title of the play? So even plays coming from all over about other parts of the country. That's exciting. So the most important thing to communicate is that this is free admission. So even though you have the Blue Pass that includes lunches and transportation,
that's right.
although I think those might be sold out, but this is all free admission. So just to come any day that you want to come, that you can attend.
Really, the whole thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All the public events are free and open, and so you can come down. Just check the website; the schedule's up there, or you can get on our conference app that we have. The website can direct you to that too, and just pick any play. There's descriptions of the plays and bios of the playwrights and everything that's happening every day. Anybody can come and take part and see. These plays are really amazing, and they have to be amazing to get chosen out of 600 to 1,000 plays to be selected. And they're really beautiful. And then the conversations that happen around the play, like after the play is performed by our local director and actors, the guest artists who have come out, first they respond, and the designer does a little short presentation and shows some images and different ideas about design for the play. But then the conversation opens up to the whole community that's there, and they're really amazing, fascinating conversations that occur. So it's quite a deal to come spend an afternoon, hear a panel, watch a play lab, and get in some great conversations. A lot of these plays are really timely and explore topics that are very much on all our hearts and minds. Yeah. And so it's a great time.
Wow. And just the collaboration that's happening. I mean, I think even the Anastasis Theater, the people that founded that, met at your conference.
Yeah, which is pretty great.
Lots of collaboration on many levels that are happening. So that's fantastic.
Do we want to read off the plays and the playwrights real quick, or do we want to save that? Or do we want to do that?
It's up to you if you'd like to get in the weeds with us or not.
Sure. I can just read through the 14 titles and playwrights if you want me to do that.
That would be cool, just because, I mean, kind of a big deal they got chosen. Let's make sure all the plays get at least named.
Oh, okay.
The first one we've got on the website is titled Know Nothing. It's by T. Adamson.
Yeah.
Coming in from New York, New York.
All right.
And the short synopsis for it is: a middle-aged realtor, Gwen, lives with her dying mother, Martha, in a small home in rural East Texas. Together, they must confront the histories of resentment, despair, and racial violence that have brought them to their painful and codependent present. So that is Know Nothing. The next play is Stains by Sarah Cho, and Sarah's coming from Los Angeles. And Stains is about an impoverished Korean American teenager as she struggles through her first period with the help of an imaginary friend who happens to resemble a wisecracking witch from a popular 90s sitcom. Stains is a coming-of-age comedy about a Korean American girl whose family sees her first period as a burden, a play about growing up poor, female, and Korean American in Los Angeles. So that's Sarah Cho.
Excellent.
The next one we have is Neighbor Jane with Tina Esper, and Tina's coming in from Montclair, New Jersey. Neighbor Jane is Margot and Philip are hoping to spend a quiet weekend on the river when a loud, mysterious bird and a terrified neighbor interrupt their evening and alter the course of their plans, possibly forever. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. In the Canyons by Daniel Hurwitz. And Daniel's coming from Brooklyn, New York. And the synopsis is that Lena and her father Alan arrive at her grandmother Pat's Brentwood Hills home, that's I think in LA, for dinner, just as a fire breaks out at the bottom of the hill. As the fire grows, blocking Lena's mom from joining them, tensions seethe between them about Pat's apparent disdain for Alan and Lena's impatience with her grandmother. By the time they learn that evacuation orders were issued, it becomes apparent that they won't all be able to escape the inferno.
Ooh.
Okay, let's do Body and Blood next.
That's by
Body
Shannon.
and Blood.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Shannon T.L. Kearns, and Shannon's coming from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And the synopsis is, as whispers become a roar and threats mount, Joshua stands in front of his congregation plagued by doubts. He knows he is called, and yet he can't help but wonder if it makes a difference, if he can make a difference, if he's enough, or if maybe he's too much of too many things. Transgender man, bartender, priest, too fractured to heal the suffering souls of others. But when, in a moment of chaos, he calls out in despair, the answer is clear. There is more to this story. That's Body and Blood. The next one is Yellow Wallpaper, which you might remember the short story from English class.
That sounds
A long time
familiar.
ago. This is Yellow Wallpaper 2.0 2020
Yeah.
by Jennifer Mazel, and Jennifer's coming from Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
Wow.
This is everybody coming from everywhere, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a riff on Charlotte Perkins Gilman's classic domestic horror story about a woman driven crazy by the rest cure for postpartum depression. Yellow Wallpaper 2.0 2020 is about a female adjunct professor trying to thrive in COVID quarantine despite her toddler and demanding husband outside her bedroom and the personal demons she faces within.
Neat.
Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
good take on that. That's neat.
Yeah.
I remember reading that.
A pandemic story.
Next one
Yes.
we're looking for is Deadass, which is right here, by Nia Aquila Robinson, and she's coming in from New York, New York.
Wow.
And the synopsis is, in February of 2010, a New Jersey principal was placed on temporary leave of absence for touching Aisha Wilson's afro. A new African vice principal arrives a few days before the shortest month of the year expires and requests drama chorus with students who are 99% white and 1% Aisha to perform their inaugural Black History Month assembly. Between 2019 and 2020, 7 states have dedicated anti-discrimination laws toward hair texture, and it's 2021 now. Do we see the problem?
Cool.
That is going to be a great one, too.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, to be Pure Again is our next one by Kira Rockwell, and Kira's coming from Boston, Massachusetts. The short synopsis for this is, set during one hot Texas summer at a charismatic Christian church camp, this earnest drama follows the senior girls' cabin along their journey to make an authentic connection with something bigger than themselves. A new play about female desire, submission, rebellion, and growing up in a religious culture that's obsessed with your sexual purity.
Yeah.
Okay. Diaspora. Let's see. Here we go. This is by Phaedra Michelle Scott, coming in from Nyack, New York. And the description is, Sunny, an idealistic Black millennial, is writing a history about the legacy of her family. Her younger sister, Janae, wants to reject everything about her ancestry in favor of a created one. Sunny discovers the mystery of their grandparents and decides to confront her past head-on in order to put the spirits in her life to rest. Okay. The next one was the one that you mentioned earlier, Greater Illinois,
Yeah.
by Stephen Strafford from Athens, Ohio. The synopsis reads, Greater Illinois is the story of Danielle, a Black woman who lives with her husband. She and her husband keep being offered more and more money and ultimately threats to move from their apartment in the south side of Chicago to a new government-sponsored suburban community. When Danielle pushes back against what feels like a sinister government agency, a tragedy is inflicted on her. Danielle seeks to make right what has been wronged. Greater Illinois is also the story of Patrick, a white man, who is being moved into the same South Side apartment a year later. The move into this space is contingent on him signing papers that dissolve his marriage and agreeing to never marry someone of the same sex again. Haunted by memories of his possibly dead husband and caught in a bit of a romantic intrigue, Patrick's world is turned even more upside down when a mysterious person arrives at his door. Greater Illinois is the story of the decisions we make to fight, flee, or freeze. It is the story of the ramifications of these decisions.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got a great batch here. The next one is RX Machina by Katie Shea Violet. The synopsis for this is, an ambitious pharmaceutical sales representative's relentless pursuit of a rigidly principled pain management doctor leads to an intoxicating, forbidden connection that comes with a cost. Ethical boundaries are blurred in a literal manifestation of doctors being in bed with drug reps, forming a love triangle fueled by money, sex, and power. Illuminating the everyday impact of pharmaceutical marketing on the opioid epidemic, RX Machina searches for humanity in a healthcare system that profits from pain and asks who gets to get better and who gets left behind. Okay. Acetone Wishes and Plexiglass Dreams by Stephanie Kyung Sun Walters. And Stephanie's coming from Philadelphia. The synopsis is, Selena has moved home to Philly's Koreatown to take over the neighborhood beauty salon. Do-it-yourself Reno keeps her busy, but discovering a secret about her high school buddy, Inky, and gossiping choruses of aunties and uncles keeps her busier. However, Selena has a secret of her own, a secret that dragged her across country only to return home empty-handed. Will Selena prevent the rumors, ghosts, and aunties from chaining her down, or will she drag Inky into the dark web that she's brought home?
Excellent.
And the final one is Cocoa Queens by Ladarian Williams. And that synopsis is, set in a small town called Helena, Alabama, Cocoa Queens is a riveting play that forms an unbroken bond between four African American women as they navigate their way through deep-seated, sometimes painful challenges of love, forgiveness, and Black womanhood in the 1970s. So there's our group of plays.
That is a fantastic group of stuff, man.
Everything from all over, and lots of topical issues about race and sexual identity as well.
And a pandemic play.
And a pandemic play.
Super topical. Yeah. Oh, I love it.
So what was your process for deciding these? This had to have been difficult. How did you set up receiving so many scripts and being able to absorb them all to decide?
Yeah, the logistics on that. Yeah.
Yeah, what to do.
So over the years, we've built up a group of readers that we hire, and most of these readers are really well-established playwrights, very, very talented playwrights.
Cool.
And they usually each read about 25 plays. Wow. And there's a whole rating system that they rate the plays and review the plays on. And then they send them back to us. And then we go to a second round of readers, a much smaller group of readers, and they read the top rated plays that were sent in from the first round readers. And they review and rate those plays. And then we have to choose from that batch,
Okay.
the final 14. And I will say it's a totally anonymous submission process. So the only thing the readers get to review or make a choice is just the play itself. They have no idea who wrote it or anything about the person who wrote it.
So they get the title and the play, and that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
And it's we're one of the few places in the country that does it that way. And people love it because there's a lot of other places who choose not just based on the play, but who the playwright is, how established they are, what kind of connections they have, those types of things. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's also nice to have a place where if you're new in theater or new to playwriting, you can send your play in and know that it's going to get a fair shake.
Absolutely. And it's all about the writing. It's all about the writing.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Wow. So
I like that.
How many plays did you personally have to read then in the end? You were part of the final process, and you had...
This year, I stepped out of the final selection process. I've been part of it since 2009. Yeah. And this year, because this is the first year we're doing this conference as a as our own nonprofit.
That's right.
I stepped out, and we had a group of 3 readers that went through and selected.
I see.
Okay.
Wow. So you got a year off at least.
Yeah. It was hard, actually. It was really hard.
Yeah, I bet it was.
I bet it was. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how did you get involved in theater? I'm actually very intrigued about your background. How did you even just begin to do this, and then it turned into...
How'd you come to theater, or theater came to you, rather, as it happens?
I had the same story that probably 100% of theater people have, is when you're a kid doing shows, putting together shows like in the garage and stuff. And so I was always doing that stuff. And whenever I got a chance to perform as a kid in grade school and stuff, I did. But then it was really when I got into college and started doing some plays in college that I really started to take a love of it, of acting specifically at the beginning. But then I ended up going to a conservatory, a theater conservatory called SUNY Purchase in New York. And that was a total immersion and training and some of the top theater artists in the country working with them. And then ended up coming back to Omaha to visit a sister for a weekend here in the late 80s, and got offered on a total whim, a total coincidence. Some people offered me a warehouse space if I would move to Omaha and start a theater.
Oh, wow.
So I called a couple friends back in New York and said, these crazy people offered me some warehouse space if I started a theater. And so my two buddies said, yeah, let's do it. And they moved out, and we started a theater called the Blue Barn Theater in 1989.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, and
May have heard
that's
of
still
that.
going.
Yeah.
Still going today.
And did it just become too much at the Blue Barn, so you moved into this space for the new play writers? Or-
No, the Blue Barn was going, and we kind of kept rotating out who was artistic director and who was doing stuff. For the first few years, we were just a total group collaboration. Then we started having one person take it over for a while.
Cool.
And I had it for a while, and then I went back to New York for about 7 years.
Okay.
And then I started getting sort of sucked back into that was the conference was in its initial, phase, and they started asking me to come out and act in things and direct things, and then they finally asked me to take over
Cool.
running the whole thing.
That's great. Wow, all of
Yeah.
us needy Nebraskans, we just had to keep you here.
That's right. They
Well,
weren't willing to let you go.
You can try and get out, but it's going to suck you back
That's
in.
right.
Exactly.
They'll get you.
Because you're not originally from here. Your sister was just living here. So are you originally from New York then?
No, actually, I'm originally from St. Paul, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
From Minnesota. Okay.
Okay.
St. Paul.
Wonderful.
Right? Yeah,
St. Paul's
Mendota,
wonderful.
right across the river from downtown.
Wow. Well, we're glad you're in Nebraska, and we're glad that Nebraska isn't too far away from your hometown. As well. As
Yeah, my
you'd have
daughter and I are
drive.
Too
we're
terrible.
gonna drive up a couple days after the conference is done. We're gonna drive up and take a vacation.
Oh, that's
Cool.
great. It'll
Yeah.
be beautiful up there
Yeah.
by a lake or something.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that you're doing this new play conference. And I'm so glad that you are helping develop the playwrights. That I think that's something that Omaha has been missing, and it's so nice to have such a solid resource there for playwrights to have
sure.
access to.
Sure, and we have some year-round programs now. Now that we're in our own nonprofit, we're doing programming year-round, and we've got some great programs for local playwrights year-round. One is called First Draft. That's for people who want to get their first play written, their very first play, and they need a little help and they need a little support. And that's every 3 months we get a new group of people in. And so if you have a script you've been struggling with, your very first play that you want to write, that's a group to get involved with.
Oh, wow.
And then we've also got Commoners, which is a 2-year-long program, and that's for people who have already been produced, playwrights who are a little further down the road.
Okay.
And that again meets, I think it's twice a month, and that's a group that supports each other. We bring in professional dramaturgs and playwrights and all kinds of theater people to meet with them and give support. And we give them a fully staged reading of their script and do a retreat and all that. So that's a great program for playwrights who are a little further along.
And you've just recently established yourself as a nonprofit.
Yeah,
And that was in 2020? You guys did that?
yeah, I think it was 2020.
Yeah.
It was right when the pandemic started.
So, yes. Hey, all right.
So how are you, besides the fact that you I mean, this is a free festival. So how are you funding your endeavors?
We have some great local support, and a lot of it is local support, and some people who have been with the conference from day one, and a lot of people have been there for over a decade supporting us. And And then a lot of new folks have, since we became a nonprofit, our own nonprofit, and are doing year-round programming, there's a lot of new folks that have come on because they're interested in some of the newer things we're doing.
Right.
We're doing a lot of community-based work now with different populations in the community. A lot of it's connected to immigrant and refugee and new American populations. So anyway, it's almost all local. We do have some national funding, like from the National Endowment for the Arts and things like that.
Sure, yeah.
That's great.
But Nebraska is really takes the mother load of supporting us to do this.
It's really nice to hear, actually. That's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a good state to do it, and I think the Nebraska Arts Council, and they've just done such a great job.
They've done a great job,
being able
and-
to get money available.
We like our arts here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's such
For sure.
it's such a pleasure to meet you and to find out more about what you're doing, and now that you're established, are you planning on expanding any of your programs, or are you going to stay with this schedule for right now, or what's in the horizons, I guess is what I should ask.
Well, we are expanding. We're lucky enough to be chosen with a group of about 7 other nonprofits to be part of what's called Yates Illuminates, which is taking place in the old Yates Elementary School, right up there by the old Mutual of Omaha offices on 31st and Davenport is where the school is. And we're all going to be moving into that old school. It's being renovated right now. And we'll be kind of basing out of that new home with these other nonprofits. Most of them, again, are serving immigrant communities and new American communities and refugee communities. So we'll be doing a lot of work there. And as an old historic grade school in Omaha, you probably remember it has a gym. And on one end of the gym, there's a little proscenium stage.
Yep.
So we'll be doing work on that out of that
Excellent.
stage. And we'll still be doing shows all around town, just like we always do.
Okay, sure.
But that's some of the growth. And our Playfest, which used to be just during the week of the conference, is now expanded out to a year-long season of theater. So that's a big step of growth for us.
Yeah.
However, in the upper room that's taking place this coming Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that will be during the conference. But that's still a Playfest show, and you don't want to miss that show.
And
Again,
that'll be
free
on the campus, at the Fort campus?
Nope, that's going to be at the Lead Center, the Creighton Lead Center.
Okay, okay. So, all right, in the upper rooms, we'll be at the Creighton Lead Center.
Yeah, the first, second, and third at 7:30 at the Lead Center. And you can get reservations. You can reserve a seat for it online, but it's free and open to everybody.
Oh,
to
yeah.
get there.
So
You know, one of the things about theater that we're trying to open up a bit is access and who has access to theater. And a lot of the people, including myself, for many, many years, decades, couldn't afford to go see theater around. And, it can get very expensive
Very quick.
to go. And so doing all our programming for free allows a lot more people to be able to come and see and take part in theater.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Well, we're so thankful for everything that you do for the community, and really thankful to be able to take the time to talk to you about it and try to help support you, because I think it's
I'm
fantastic
thankful
what
for
you're
you.
doing.
Thankful for you guys doing the podcast.
Oh, we're happy
Yeah,
to do it.
really
We wish
cool.
we
Do
could
it.
do more.
Yeah. But,
It's really cool.
Just fantastic. And, of course, the big playwriting conference coming up this coming week and next week, but also it doesn't stop there now, because year-round
Yeah.
there is playwriting assistance for people who are just trying to get their first plays written, for people who already have written plays and have them produced. Year-round assistance from professionals.
That's
That is
great.
fantastic.
What a great.
That's an amazing
program.
resource. It's an amazing resource.
There's a lot of good stories to come out of our community.
Yeah,
yes,
no kidding.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. And we are so excited for you about this. And we can share
All
it
right.
on social media. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Yes, indeed.
Likewise.
Thank you very much. Kevin Lawler, the Artistic and Administrative Coordinator at the Nebraska Theater Commons.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening and supporting the arts in the Platte River area and beyond. Please subscribe to our podcast so you are sure to catch all of our future episodes and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Music for this podcast was used with permission by Screaming Skull Productions. See you next time on the Platte River Bard.